Good evening, students.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening. Good evening, Disna and others. Salome, Nisansani, Ahimsa, right? Okay. We have another two chapters to be complete. One is reforms, right? And the other one is development, right? So today I'm going to do the reforms, right? UK and Sri Lanka, right? So you have to compare because United Kingdom and the Sri Lanka is having some sort of connection, no, right? So we were under the colonial period. During the colonial period, we are under them, right? So education system also connected with UK, right? So now, first we'll learn the UK system, right? The historical background, that is the topic of thing. And we can learn the Sri Lankan education system, right? Also, okay? Right. So here you can see United Kingdom attempts at educational reform. This is the title of your chapter, right? So, we are doing under comparative education, right? So that's what we took two countries, right? That means England and Sri Lanka. Why they chosen those two countries? Those two countries are closely having relationship, right? And even Sri Lankans mostly wanted to migrate to UK because the medium of instruction is English, and also the the and they can earn, but now the situations are totally different, right? Okay, so the historical background and school structure, right? So that is the subtopic. We have to look for it, right? I have some notes also. I will explain, and again, I will go. I will show the module also, right? Uh, right. So historical background. So early origins. Sri Lanka, we learned the origins, right? And here, role of church and state. So gradual government involvement, right? So in education, they started with church and state, right? And then gradually government involved. So education before the 19th century, right? So we are going to see before independence and after independence. Otherwise, 1972, before 1972 and after 1972 in Sri Lanka, right? So here, in 19th century, church-run schools, right? So these grammar schools are popular even now, right? So most of our Sri Lankans, right, they are highly motivating their students to enter the grammar school, right? So they have a scholarship like exam and selecting students for this grammar school in England, right? So most of the parents' dream is to uh, this send their children to this grammar school. If the children enter the grammar school, there is a future for them, because otherwise they have to go to the private school. It's very expensive, right? So this grammar school is highly standard, and from this grammar school only, most of the students are entering the universities, right? So grammar school, so 19th century, they have started the grammar school, still it is running. Limited access for poor children. So this is also one another thing, right? So the children, they are selecting these talented students, right? By keeping an exam, just they can't enter into the grammar schools, right? And also limited access at that time in 19th century, limited access for poor children, right? And the industrial revolution and education need for skilled workforce. So industrial revolution, they have to enhance the economic side, right? So at that time, need for skilled force. The education influenced by urbanization, pressure for mass education, right? So according to that, the country's environment, right, the education also have to change. And Elementary Education Act 1870, Forster Act, first national education system, school boards, and compulsory elementary education, right? So everywhere elementary education is compulsory, right? So we have learned many countries. In each country, right, the elementary education is compulsory. And the Education Act 1902, right? The first act is 1870s. See the gap, right? Second one is 1902 and 1918. So local education authorities, right now, they are starting free secondary education in
Madam,
19.
can you show the previous one?
Sorry,
18.
I didn't share it. Sorry.
Okay.
I
No, ma'am, we want to see the previous slide.
Previous slide. This one.
Yes. Yes. Yes, this, madam.
Elementary Education Act
Yes.
1870. Right after that, Education Acts 1902 and 1918. Can you see this slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Right. So in 1902 and 1918, they had two acts. So under that only, local education authorities going to offer free secondary education and raising school leaving age, right? So that means reform means making changes, needed change. Unwanted things are deleting, right? So pre-secondary education and raising school leaving age. In 1944, another act, the Butler Education Act, tripartite system, free secondary education, 11 plus examination, right? So in this time duration, right, Sri Lanka is under this colonial system, right? So UK imposed the same type of education system in Sri Lanka also. And the other thing, comprehensive school movement. 1960 reforms, right? So it's very close to us, right? 1960 reforms. End of selection, equality of opportunity, right? So I'm going to explain in the notes also, right? It will be more in detail, right? So end of selection and equality of opportunity. So after 1960, another reform in 1988, right? So in 1988, they are starting national curriculum, standardized testing, school autonomy, right? So the time duration is very close, but they are making so many changes in the education system. and recent reforms 1997 and present. So now they are having this education system, academies and free schools, Ofsted inspections, focus on standards. In the topic, this part is also a keyword, school structure in the UK. You know what is the structure in Sri Lanka, right? We learn the education system of so many countries, right? So here, 4 main stages: compulsory education, public and private sector, right? So under compulsory education, public and private sectors, they are having 4 main stages. So this is the first stage, early years education, ages 3 to 5, right? So normally we are using the word of early childhood education, right? Up to 8, we can say that early childhood education, it is going up to 8 years. So 3 to 5, nursery and reception, early years foundation stage, right? So the wordings are changed, right? But anyway, the basic idea is almost same in most of the countries. The second stage is 5 to 11, right? First one 3 to 5, second one 5 to 11. So 5 means school age, schooling age, key stages 1 and 2. So the same thing we have, right? Key stages 1 and 2, 4 subjects. So in the primary, even now in Sri Lanka, we have key stages up to grade 3, core subjects, right? Now they are calling as primary education, same with Sri Lanka. And see secondary education, right? Secondary education is 11 to 16, right? But we are not, so up to grade 5 in Sri Lanka primary education, but here even grade 3 and 4 is coming under secondary education. So key stages 3 and 4, GCSE examination, right? So like our O level, they are doing GCSE examination, right? Still that exam is there. And sixth form, there are 4 stages now, right? Post 16 education, A level, O level, A level, vocational pathways. Now you can realize, right? What are the similarities we have, right? And higher education, universities, right? Degree structure, student finance, right? So self-finance is also there. And in UK, especially in the grammar school, it's free of charge. And universities, they are giving loans, right? Children can apply for any amount of loan, but anyway, they have to pay back, right? Type of schools, state schools, academies, free schools, independent schools. Under state schools, academies are there, free schools are there, independent schools are there. And governance and administration. So in Sri Lanka, we have 3 types of organization related to education, right? So National Education Commission is the mother organization, right? They are the people who are formulating policy, and it's closest to, that means advice for president, right? And National Institute of Education is preparing curriculum, teacher instruction manual, right? And Ministry of Education is responsible for textbooks, right? And NI is doing the teacher training, right? So likewise here, Department for Education. Yeah, so Department of Education, zonal education, we also have these type of these branches, right? So zonal education, Department of Education, Ministry of Education, right? So school governing bodies. So school governing bodies, of course, in Sri Lanka, Ministry of Education. Here they have school governing bodies, right? And local authorities. And the other thing is assessment and evaluation. So especially in the reforms, they are considering this assessment and evaluation methods, right? So if it is not suitable, they are removing. They are including new methods, right? So national assessment, GCSEs and A-levels, Ofsted inspections, right? The inspections also there. Earlier in Sri Lanka, they had inspectors, school inspectors, but now it is not. Normally, they're not coming and checking, right? Earlier, the inspectors used to visit the school and checking the standard qualities, right? Strength of UK school system, strong accountability, clear structure, international recognition, right? So, UK degree means it's internationally recognized, right? So even Sri Lankan education also mostly recognized, right? So our people also having a pride to have UK degree, right? So they are thinking if they have UK degree, they are the best people, right? They are very bright and they are thinking in that way, right? I have UK degree like that, right? So challenges and criticisms, educational inequality. So same with us, right? Educational inequality, exam pressure, regional disparities. So the same thing. So we are thinking UK means that it's a very developed country. We are in developing country. They might not have these issues, but anyway, that country also have issues. Exam pressure, regional disparities, because we got the exam pressure from them. They are the people who introduced the O-level, A-level in Sri Lanka, right? And UK education in comparative perspective, centralization versus decentralization, right? So they have this centralization and decentralization. So they are having similar power. They are giving powers to the schools, centralization. So equity versus choice, lesson for other countries, right? So, UK education. Uh, so why internationally recognized? So equity versus choice and lessons for other countries. And continuous reform, right? So in Sri Lanka, every 8 years they are doing reforms, right? But here you saw very frequently they had reforms, right? So it's not mandatory to have a similar period. If they need any change, right, they can do it, right? Okay, now the same thing with notes, right? So is it visible? Can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Right. So here you can see attempts at educational reforms, right? So introduction to UK education in comparative perspective, right? So whatever we learn in short, now a little bit elaborating. So in comparative education, the United Kingdom occupies a significant position because it is one of the earliest country to develop a state-supported education system, right? State-supported education system. State means government, right? So they are the people, it is one of the earliest country. Many former colonies, including Sri Lanka, inherited structural, administrative, and curricular influences from the British system, right? So now you can understand why we are having that influence, because we already Sri Lanka ruled by UK. And the studying educational reforms in the UK helps us understand how education system respond to social change, economic demands, political ideologies, and global pressures. So why they had frequent reforms? Because of this, right? Respond to social change, economic demands, right? And political ideologies. Even in Sri Lanka, political changes are influencing reforms. Even the new government is doing a reform. They are going to introduce grade 1, a new education system, right? And the UK education system did not develop overnight, right? Any education system cannot be developed overnight. It will take more time. Instead, it evolved gradually through a series of reforms aimed at improving access, quality, equity, and efficiency. So these reforms reflect broader changes in society, such as industrialization, democratization, welfare state development, and neoliberal market-oriented policies, right? So their basic ideas are a little bit different from Sri Lanka, because the UK is developed country, our one is developing country. So our reform is based on our needs, right? So this is introduction and historical background of education in the United Kingdom. So education before 19th century. So before the 19th century, education in the UK was neither universal nor compulsory. Schooling was largely controlled by the church and private individuals. So even our education system also, Gurukula, so it is based on religious places, right? Likewise, even here, the largely controlled by church and private individuals. Grammar schools existed mainly for middle and upper class boys, while poor children had very limited access to formal education. So this is in 19th century, right? Charity schools and Sunday school provided basic literacy and religious instruction. So charity schools and Sunday schools, right? I think the developed countries, right? The students have to learn the religion from Sunday schools, right? So they are not giving priority for religion in the school education system. But they have to learn Christianity, history, those things, right? Charity and this period was marked by strong social class division, Yeah, why? Because upper class, middle upper class are going to meet a grammar school, and the other poor children, there's no way to go to school. So social class divisions, right? So educated people, uneducated people, right? So limited state involvement, right? So in 19th century, the government uh, limited uh, involvement, right? So not much. Education viewed as a privilege rather than a right. It's a privilege. If people have money, they can learn, right? Even in Sri Lanka, in the beginning, elite, that means rich people only learn. They only learn in English medium. Even now, international schools are very expensive. It is the medium of instruction is English. So if people have money, so they're sending the children to international schools, right? So education viewed as a privilege rather than a right, but it's a human right, right? Nowadays, right? Even Sri Lanka, the it's a child right, right? So that's what compulsory education. They up to grade 9, the children have to go to school. It's a rule, right? An impact of the industrial revolution, right? So the industrial revolution, late 18th and 19th centuries, brought significant economic and social changes, right? So industries are emerged, right? And people are moving to urban side, right? So rapid industrialization and urbanization created a demand for a literate and disciplined workforce. So now people have to learn to get jobs in industries. So factory work required basic reading, writing, and numeracy skills. So to work in a factory, they have to learn. They must know to read, write, and numeracy skills, numbers. So at the same time, child labor and poor living conditions raised concerns about child welfare. So child labor and poor living conditions, right? So they are consider those things also. So as a result, pressure grew for mass elementary education. Social reformers argued for state responsibility in education. Now only they are going to start the schools, right? Education began to link with national economic development. So now they are starting elementary education, right? In 1870, first act, right? Elementary education, they are starting. The Elementary Education Act of 1870 marks turning point in UK educational history. Right? It was the first attempt to establish national system of elementary education, right, in 1870. So the key features of elementary education, establishment of elected school boards, right? So I think in Sri Lanka, few schools have school boards, right? Especially private schools. Government schools, of course, it's under government, Ministry of Education, right? So teachers are recruited from Ministry of Education. Private schools, of course, they are recruiting, right? So establishment of elected school boards, provision of elementary education where voluntary schools were insufficient. Education was not fully free or compulsory at first, right? So not fully free, so it's pay living, right? So they have to pay, and it is not compulsory also, right? In 1870, that those are the key features, right? So significance. What is the importance? Recognized education as a responsibility of the state and laid the foundation for compulsory education. Reduce literacy among the working class, because to work in industrial, people started to learn. And it's a compulsory education, elementary education is compulsory. Recognized education as a responsibility of the state, right? A state have to involve government. This is in 1870, and after that, Education Acts of 1902 and 1918. So the Education Act of 1902 abolished school boards, right? So earlier in 1870, they had school boards. In 1902 and 1918, they abolished school boards and introduced local education authorities, right? And strengthening local government control over education. It expanded secondary education and improving teacher training, right? You can see the progress, right? So they are first starting the elementary and slowly moving to the secondary education. The Education Act of 1918, Fisher Act, made education compulsory up to age 14, right? So at present in Sri Lanka also, up to age 14, the education is compulsory, grade 9. Introduce free secondary education, emphasize education for citizenship and social efficiency. Right, so even in Brazil, right, the elite group, the rich people only go to school, right? They are the people who can learn. All the other laborers, rubber tappers, because Brazil is a the rubber producing is very highest, right? So those people, they can't read, write, they don't have literacy skills, right? So likewise, right? So in Brazil, one philosopher called Freire, right? Paulo Freire, he only started to educate the adults, because adult people almost illiterate, right? And in Brazil, to vote, right? They have the literacy, right? They must know to read and write. So no one can't vote there, because most of the laborers and the highest people who are working community is not eligible for vote. So see, here also the same. So made education compulsory, introduce free secondary education, emphasize education for citizenship and social efficiency. So these reforms reflected the growing belief that education was essential for democracy and national progress, right? So they are enforcing like this law means, right? The people are trying to learn, right? So in the same way, in Brazil also, the Paulo Freire make the adults literate. Within 45 days, he made people to read and write, right? So 4 million people within a short time, he made them literate. So the elite people were prisoned him because they lost the this political power. Because of these people can vote now, no? So they made a huge change. So education can make any change, right? So that's what Nelson Mandela is telling. Education is a weapon, right? So the Butler Education Act 1944, the Education Act of 1944 is one of the most significant reforms in UK education, right? In Sri Lanka, White Report, 1972. So but anyway, it's 1992 is the golden reforms used to say, right? We will learn that reforms. So, introduced after World War II, it aimed to promote social reconstruction and equal opportunity. So, the main features: free and compulsory education for all, introduction of the tripartite system, grammar school, secondary modern schools, technical schools. So, here in 1944, they have a little bit developed system, right? That means grammar schools are there for academic purposes.
Excuse me, madam. Excuse me, madam. Hello?
A call came, right? But yes, Nishad, what is the issue?
Are there any grammar schools in UK today?
Yes,
Even
why not?
even today?
Yes, because my sister's daughter, son, they went to the grammar school because they took so much pain to send them to grammar school. From grammar school only, that eldest daughter entered the Cambridge University. It's a dream to go to the
Also,
grammar school.
when we speak about the grammar school, the high school English grammar written by Wren and Martin is one of the best choices, right? So I have studied in that book as well. It's actually
Right.
it came
So
to my
they
mind.
are having the grammar school from the beginning itself. So very established schools. So from them, my sister's daughter, and I think they tried. So yeah, not only my sisters, almost all the Sri Lankans are trying to enter grammar school. So our parents are very highly interested in education, so somewhat they are giving extra classes, and so, they are having a competitive examination and selecting. Right? So, main features, right? So, you can see the improvement, right? In 1944, grammar schools plus secondary modern schools, practical, academic, practical, and vocational. See the balanced education system. Academic system is there, practical oriented schools also there, and vocational, right? So job oriented schools also there. And selection, that means they have that type of education system. Selection at age 11 through the 11 plus examination, right? So a little bit different. We don't have these type of things, right? The strengths of 1944 reform expanded access to secondary education, recognized different abilities, right? And criticism also there, right? And criticism have to be there because then only they can progress, right? So criticism reinforce class division. So grammar school is for um, not for poor people, no, right? If students are going to the grammar school, considered as um, a class, right? And the others are another class. So class the reinforced class divisions, early selection disadvantaged working class children. So even in Sri Lanka, we have that, no, right? Scholarship exam, especially the scholarship exam. This introduced by Dr. W. Kannangara, especially for the poor children, right? But anyway, now it is not happening. Everyone is trying because they can go for a good school, right? If they score more marks, even a rural school child also can go, and the other children also will get good schools, right? Right. And then after 1944, another reforms in 1960-70, comprehensive school movement. So due to criticism of tripartite system, the UK moved towards comprehensive education. Comprehensive schools aim to educate children for all abilities together without selection, right? So here no selection, right? So the key objective of this comprehensive school: promote equality of opportunity, reduce social class-based segregation, provide a common curriculum, right? So they are moving to state schools, right? So uh, in Sri Lanka also, right? There are things, right? Some parents, if they wanted to put their children to a graded school, they used to go there before 5-6 years to that place, and they rented a house, right? And because to grade 1 they need that electricity bill or anything, no, so they are preparing, right? So because of their children's education, right? That type of things are there. So these reforms reflects egalitarian and social democratic philosophies of education, right? So after 1960-70, there is another reform in 1988, right? So the Education Act of 88 marked a shift towards market-oriented reforms influenced by neoliberal ideology. So industrial revolution.
Could you move on to the next one, madam, before the earlier one? 2.7 education before that. Only for 3 seconds. It's
Right.
okay.
நான் அப்படி வந்து நின்றுட்டு போறீங்க சுத்திமா விளையாடுறீ அப்ப நான் ஸ்கூலே போக மாட்டேன் முதல்ல வாங்கிச்சு நான் கவனிச்சு பிசு அதுத்தப்பாங்க அதுன்னு சொன்னேன் அப்புறம் அவ பேசுவா என்ன நான் அங்க இருக்க நாங்க கூப்பிட்டு இங்க வச்சிருக்கிறேன்
So the KTM, can you mute your mic, please?
நான் இங்கே வந்து இருக்கிற பிள்ளையான் தானா பிள்ளை ரொம்ப வயசுலயே மாவேலம் பாய்க்க தொடங்குறாங்க அம்மா அப்பாட்ட சொல்லி கேட்காத
mic mute பண்றீங்களா, please? Okay. Right. So now Education Reform Act 1988. The Education Reform Act of 1988 marked a shift
Sorry
towards
for the disturbance. Excuse me, madam. Sorry for the disturbance. May I know what your name is?
My name is Selvarani Ilango.
Selvarani
Dr. Selvarani Ilango. Yes.
Okay.
I'm working as a head of the department in the Horizon campus, Malawi. Right. So,
Excuse me, madam.
yes.
There is a group now. We made the own group yesterday. Can you send everything notes to the every notes to the, can you share for our new group, please?
You formulated a new group.
Yeah,
Yes.
excuse me.
Right,
It is
okay.
a
Right.
it
I
is a
will
thing.
share it.
share all the presentations. From the beginning itself, I will share. Right?
Oh, thank you,
Otherwise,
madam.
difficult. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's
Okay.
difficult to take down all these
Right.
notes for ourselves.
Yeah. Continuously from the first itself, I will share. Right? And I already
So
sent to
you can,
the, yeah.
sir, can you add our madam's number to the group, please?
Yes, please. Otherwise, I can't share.
Oh,
071.
yes.
My WhatsApp number is 07145 00034.
Sir, got it?
07, yeah, 07145 00034. Right?
Okay, madam.
Okay, so now we are moving to 88 reforms. Recent one. So shift towards market-oriented reforms influenced by neoliberal ideology. Right? So actually, as teachers, you have to think why things are changing. Can we
Excuse me.
teach what we learned
Excuse me,
to
madam. Excuse me,
today's student? Right? Yes.
madam. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Could you tell the number once again because I receive a phone call. So could you tell me your number? 07145. Yeah.
Yeah. 071 45
Right.
000 00034.
Okay. 07145000034. Right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much.
Right. And key features of 1988, introduction of the national curriculum, standardized testing at key stages, greater school autonomy, parental choice, and competition among schools, right? So introduction of the national, now they are having a national curriculum, right? That means they are going to have one single exam, right? So as we have in Sri Lanka, we have a national curriculum now, right? The children have to do the same exam, whether they are in the urban or village, right? So they have to do the same exam, right? So they're not considering whether the facilities are there, teachers are there, right? But anyway, they have to face the same examination, right? And standardized testing at key stages. So standardized examinations are there. Greater school autonomy. Schools are functioning individually, right? Parental choice and competition among schools. So the same with Sri Lanka also, right? The parents are trying to put their children into certain schools, right? They are fighting for Royal College, while fighting for St. Thomas's and fighting for Ananda, Nalanda, Visakha, right? So the popular schools. And recent reforms, 1971 to present, recent reforms include the expansion of academies and free schools, strong inspection system, right? And performance-based accountability. So trends include globalization and international benchmarking, right? So international benchmarking, where we have to go, right? So comparing with one, right? So this month is then, so there are exams, no, right? They are expecting some level, right? IELTS means some universities need this much of score benchmark, right? So school structure of right. So emphasis on STEM and employability skill. Can anyone say what is STEM? I think Sri Lanka also now is going to start STEM education. New government is emphasizing. What is STEM?
Continuous assessment marks, madam.
Not continuous assessment marks. STEM,
Science,
STEM.
technology, science,
Yes,
technology, engineering, and math.
yes, right? Science, technology, engineering, maths, right? So they are starting from secondary. As we know, right? So arts students, arts graduates even, they are struggling to get jobs, right? So but we are producing more arts faculty students, no, right? So we are producing more, but they don't have, they
මේක ඔන් කරන්න
uh,
තියනවද? ඇහෙන්නේ නැහැ. සවදින සාදක් නැහැ.
yes. So uh, the employability, right?
ස්පීකර්
So
කියන්නේ.
why people are learning to get some good jobs, no? So graduate means they are expecting some good jobs. If they are not getting, they will be frustrated and they are doing strike and so many things, right? So to avoid that, they are going to introduce STEM education, and even that 13-year education also introduced because of that, right? Employability, to increase the employability, skill-based courses, right? And digitalization of education. Now we are in the information technology era, so digitalization is very important, right? Under that only information technology also coming, right? So now school structure, we are moving to school structure of the United Kingdom. Overview of the school system. Education in the UK compulsory from age 5 to 16. Right? So now the ages 5 to 16. So they are starting the school from 5 and up to 16. It's compulsory. And the system is structured into stages known as key stage and includes both state-funded and private institutions. Right? State-funded government schools also there, private schools also there, but private schools are very expensive. Right? Most of the countries have private schools, so private schools are very expensive. Maybe they are giving good education, but the affordable things are there. Everyone can't enter to the private school. And early years education covers age 3 to 5 and is guided by the early years foundation stage. So here, early childhood education, right? We are calling Montessori, preschool, play pen, like that, no, right? So focus areas: physical development, language and communication, social and emotional development. Right, so our preschool objective is also the same, right? Early childhood education is seen as critical for lifelong learning and reducing inequality. Right, so now only our Sri Lankan education realized that the importance of early childhood education, right? So now they are initiating, they are going to initiate, right, in a this common way, right? They are going to prepare the common curriculum, right? So primary education, we are learning the structure, right? Primary education covers age 5 to 11 and includes key stage 1, key stage 2. So key stage 1 is 5 to 7 years. Key stage 2 is 7 to 11 years, right? So in Sri Lanka, key stage 1 and 2 means grade 1 and 2 key stage 1, and key stage 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, right? Is any primary teachers are here? So what is the difference in key stage in Sri Lanka? Is anybody? Right, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, right? Key stage 1, 2, 3, and the other one is 4, 5, right? Here 5 to 7 years is key stage 1 and key stage 2 is 7 to 11 years, another 3 years. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Here 7 years, right? But our primary education is only 5 years. So core subject English, mathematics, science. So this is also a little bit different, right? Core subject is English, mathematics, science, right? I think in Sri Lanka, ERA, environmental related studies, language, numeracy, those things are there. Assessment through national test helps monitor standards. So national tests are there conducting. And secondary education, that means 11 to 16, even that divided into 2, stage 3 and 4, 11 to 14 and 14 to 16. So students sit for GC, General Certificate of Secondary Education, GCSE. Right? Our one is GC O level, GC A level. Right? General education, ordinary level, right? And advanced level. So at the end of key stage 4. And post 16 education, after 16, right? Academic pathways, that means A levels, vocational and technical education and apprenticeship. They can select whatever they need. This stage supports both higher education and employment readiness. Right? So our students also after A levels, right? A small percentage of students are entering the state universities, and another few percentage of the students are selecting non-state universities, right? And another small percentage people are migrating to higher education, right? All the others are they have to do something, so they are they are going for employment, right? And higher education includes universities and college offering undergraduate degrees, postgraduate degrees, right? Same with Sri Lanka. The UK has globally recognized higher education system, but faces challenges related to tuition fees and student debt. Very expensive, right? And type of schools, state schools, academies, free schools, independent schools. Each type reflects different levels of government controlling and funding. Right? So how they are categorizing according to the government control and funding, the categories are there. Even we have no government school, semi-government, private, right? Likewise. So governance and administration, how they are going to administrate these schools, Department for Education, local authorities, school governing bodies. So we have 3 organizations, right? National Education Commission, National Institute of Education, and Ministry of Education. So here comparative education reflections. From a comparative perspective, the UK system highlights key tensions. Equity versus excellence, centralization versus decentralization, standardization versus diversity, right? So these comparative perspectives, right? So many countries, including Sri Lanka, can learn from both the successes and challenges of UK educational reforms. So educational reforms in the United Kingdom reflects changing social values, economic priorities, and political ideologies. The UK experience demonstrated that education systems are dynamic and continuously evolving. For comparative education, the UK provides valuable lessons on how historical context shapes educational structures and reform outcomes. So this is same for every country, right? For the betterment of education, they will do the reforms, right? So now I will show the module, right? So here, United Kingdom attempts at educational reforms, right? Introduction and the historical background. So you can probably think of the political, economic, social, cultural, and political forces that had influenced the evolution of present system of education in Sri Lanka. Um, so the reflect on the chapters on Sri Lankan education that you studied earlier in this course book. Can you identify the different forces that help to mold Sri Lankan education? Right? Right, we'll see. Right, in the United Kingdom also we find that the same forces are influential because they are the people who made our education system, right? So especially the following can be identified as contributing to educational change in United Kingdom, right? So church, these things, social spheres, uh, and liberal democratic forces, right? So 19th century, we learned, right? Public schools, uh, they started, right? Private boarding schools, home by private tutors. So at home, private tutors came in. So if they have money and they don't want to send the children to school, right? So they have their own private tutor, right? So that is also there. An industrial revolution, we learned the Act 1867 right to vote, rights to vote. They have to have the reading and writing skills. And 1870 educational boards, right? And Secondary Education Act, associated denomination schools, scholarship scheme, right? So see here, see the 1902 Education Act, right? Had been
Ma'am,
followed by a scholarship scheme. Yes.
we cannot see what you are sharing right now. We can see only the
Sorry.
previous slide.
Yeah. I shared no. Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. I'll show from the beginning then. So based on this only, I prepared my notes and presentation, right? I will, I have to get the permission from the Apex, and if they allow, I can share this, right? So introduction and historical background. So they are comparing with Sri Lankan education, right? Public schools and industrial revolution, Elementary Education Act in 1870 and 1867. They have established educational boards, and Secondary Education Act, again 1992, right? Assisted the scholarship schemes introduced in 1907. And this measure also contributed to increasing participation in education. Right, so actually the scholarships scheme in grade 5, why they started in Sri Lanka to help the poor children, right? So they are not giving a huge amount of money, but it will help them to Earlier, of course, the books have to buy outside, right? But now, of course, they are issuing free books now, right? And English education. The medium of instruction, of course, English, right? In UK. But in Sri Lanka, it's a mother tongue, right? Now, slowly, earlier medium of instruction is English, right? And then they switch on to mother tongue education. And again, now they introduce a English medium again in schools, even the state schools, right? International schools. So here, secondary grammar school, highest achievers 15%. 11 plus test of selection. On their performance at this test, the children were categorizing into 3 types: secondary grammar school, secondary technical school, secondary modern school. So only 15% children are going to secondary school, high achievers, right? So the Butler Act we learned, right? And local education authorities, comprehensive schools, right? And school structure. If you think of Sri Lanka, you will remember that schools are classified according to their administration or control, government school versus private school, according to their status 1A, 1B, 1C, 2 and 3 schools, right? So now 1AB, type 1, type 2 schools, right? National schools. So in discussing about British schools, we will focus only on control status. So here you can see public schools, a direct grant, voluntary aided, voluntary committee, secondary grammar, secondary technical, secondary modern, and comprehensive. Classification of British school by control, right? So here, you would perhaps remember that the Special Committee on Education, Kanagara Committee, that is in 1940, right? And recommended a tripartite system of school on the model of what was implemented UK in 1944, right? The same period they have introduced, right? Hierarchical with public school at the top, the assisted schools occupy in the middle, and the state schools are at the bottom, right? Within the state schools, the secondary grammar enjoyed higher status, while the secondary modern schools had the lowest prestige. This is the status of UK schools. So in government sector, the grammar school is having higher achievers, right? Similarly, the two-party system, different ideologies, right? Equity. What do you mean by equity? Fairness, right? And there's no gender bias here, right? And equity means no rich, poor, no gender bias, right? Anyone can go to any school. So highest qualification level attained by sex according to the socio-economic group of father. This is 1985 and 86. Persons aged to 25 to 49, not in full-time education. Highest qualification level attained, right? Here, degree equivalent men, women, total. Professional, social, economic group of father, not mother, right? Father, professional. That means professional means doctor, engineers. In those countries, teaching also professional, dentist, right? So those who have license are professionals, right? So men 51% and women of 25, total 38. How the total comes lower than that? Right? This side total is there. Right? I can't understand this, right? So 51 and 25 means how it came to 38 total. Right? So here the professionals, employees and managers, intermediate, non-manual, junior, non-manual, skill, manual, own account, non-professional, these are the type of these father's occupation. And this amount of students are they pursuing degree or equivalent, right? And the second category, higher education below degree level, right? And the third one, GCA level, right? And the last category is GCA O level, right? The compensatory education also we learned, right? National curriculum introduced. A GCSE replaced the GCO level, and CSE. So in 1972, right, our former president Ranil Wickremesinghe introduced this type of two categories, GC and HNC, right? High national HND. No, HND is a diploma, no, higher national diploma, no. HNC, higher national certificate of examination, right? The other one is general, right? We will learn, right? Under 1972, huge changes took place, but it stands only 5 years. It is not suitable. That means the people can't, the teachers can't accept it because they are not trained for that, right? And the parents also, he introduced some these vocational subjects, so the parents against to that. So a lot of issues came, and they spent a lot of money on that. But anyway, only it stand for 5 years, right? So privatization of education. So the private schools. So privatization means private school means private means we have to pay money. State schools, we no need to pay money, no, little money we have to pay, right, for a year. But private school means we have to pay monthly. So now reflect on the educational scene in Sri Lanka. Do you see any similarities between UK and Sri Lanka? You would probably remember that quality of education is often cited as a problem faced by Sri Lanka. In UK, also much concern have been expressed, especially in recent years regarding quality. So they had black papers, we had white papers, white report, right? So black papers criticized school for what they saw as a decline in standards due to abolition of the grammar school and to the promotion to progressive approaches to teaching. So progressive approaches are those advocate by educationists such as John Dewey, who argued for an active process of learning which makes children enjoy learning. So what is the John Dewey's philosophy? Is anyone knows? Progressive approach. What is it? Learning by doing. So John Dewey established his own school to apply his philosophy to the children, learning by doing. He established his own school, laboratory schools. So later, it's made a revolution in American education system. Every school followed that, right? So the children became creative, right? And problem solvers. So even now they are using that philosophy. That means method. And NBQ level. NBQ, recently we started, right? There are 7 levels in NBQ. The 7th level is equivalent to degree. Even if you not pass the GCE level, you can start with NBQ, right? So you can go up to level 7. So NBQ means normally so NVQ is, right, vocational side, right? So skill side. So you can start your own entrepreneur jobs, or skill migration. Most of the countries are expecting skillful people. So that type of skill you can obtain from the NVQ level qualification, national vocational qualification. So here you can see 16-year-old achievements in the equivalent of GCSE, mathematics, national language and science. Germany 62%, France 66%, Japan 50%, and England 27%, right? So the lowest is England. Percentage of young people gaining comparable upper secondary school qualification in 1990. Germany 68, France 48, Japan 80, England 29. Again, England is the lowest, right? So UK government's expenditure on education as a percentage of GDP, right? So from 1975 to 1987, the percentage is decreasing GDP, right? So trapped in low skill equilibrium in which the majority of the enterprises staffed by poorly trained managers and workers produce low quality goods and services. So there was a view that country's poor economic performance since the war relative to that of the competing nation that industrial revolution starts, right? So let's now review some of the initiative taken by UK to infuse relevance to education. The first one, the acquisition of basic skills, which they lacked, but which the industry needed by the school leavers. The development of more positive attitudes to industry and to economic needs of society. Greater technological know-how so that they might live effectively in a technological society. Guarantee of youth training for all, establishment of recognized standards in post-16 vocational courses, better preparation for working life in initial full-time education, collaboration over training and education, public and private providers. So you can see they are moving to technical side, technical and vocational side. So that's what the Sri Lankan government also introduced these NVQ levels, technical and vocational, especially vocational thing. The promotion of equal opportunities, provision of 4-year curriculum design on preparation for adult life, encouragement of initiative problem solving and personal development, the containment of a vocational component throughout, the relation of vocational and technical elements to employment opportunities, to profession of work experience, the establishment of links with subsequent training and educational opportunities, the inclusion of regular career and educational advice, the preparation of students for one or more centrally recognized qualifications and design of courses that would be replaced elsewhere. So general national vocational qualifications. So see, they have started in 1991, right? So education and training for 21st century. Even now we are emphasizing 21st century skills, right? There are 16 skills under 21st century, 3 categories of skills. So now once again examining the objective that are listed in section 2, see whether going through this lesson has helped you to achieve the objective stated in the section, right? So identify the major forces that help to fashion the education system of UK, explain the complexities and exist in the school structure, describe the current trends in English education in relation to the issues, equity, quality, relevance at secondary level, tertiary level, identify the innovative measures that may be considered for adoption by Sri Lanka. Right, so another half an hour more. So in Sri Lankan curriculum reforms, of course, it's familiar to you all, right? So after 1972, we will learn today. The before 1972, you can learn in the next class, right? So the before 1972 means there's not much, but anyway, it's related to historical events, right? The curriculum reforms in Sri Lanka, right? This overview, curriculum reforms in 1972, 81, 92, 97, 2007, right? So recent reforms, 1972, this is called White Report, right? 1981, 1992, 1997, and 2007, right? So first of all, you have to know what is curriculum reform. Why should we have this, right? And curriculum, of course, it's a framework that sets expectation for student learning, right? So under curriculum only, syllabus, we are, there are a lot of subjects. They are preparing curriculum for that, right? Under curriculum, for each subject, they are preparing syllabuses, right? And the reform is to improve something by adding new things or removing or correcting faults from previous things. That is what we call reform. What we are doing, right? So continuously research is taking the NIA, right, National Institute of Education, and NEC, they are doing research on this, and according to the findings, right, they are improving, adding, removing, correcting, right? That is what called reform. So if we are going to combine together, right, curriculum reform, the process of making changes to the curriculum with the intent of making learning and teaching more meaningful and effective. So reform means we are going to make some changes in positive way. So why do we need curriculum reforms? They ask a question, you'll be able to answer. Why do we need? So curriculum revision is not a simple thing. You have to spend lot of money on that, because one or two people can't do this, right? A group of people, they have to meet frequently, right? They will divide these topics, right? And they have to prepare at home and coming to meet one place and discuss, right? Then the consultants, specialists will be there, right? So many things are happening. It's not an easy process, right? So respond to fast changing world. Why we need curriculum, right? The world is changing, so we also have to change because we are in the globalized society. So curriculum reforms as a way to equip children with the knowledge, skills, and competencies needed for tomorrow, right? And get socio-economic benefits. Why we need reform? First, respond to fast-changing world. Second one, get socio-economic benefits. Curriculum reform is also about the development of a society in general and plays a vital role in improving the economy of a country. And improve quality education. Curriculum reforms lead to high educational achievement and learning. And produce more job opportunities. Curriculum reforms will contribute to decrease the mismatch between education given in school and employment opportunities. Right? So whatever we are teaching in the school must help to the children to work in the world of work. Right? So employment, the children must be successful in employment. So we have to give the skill, right? Especially we are talking about soft skills now, right? And make all-round and balanced development of the individual. Curriculum reforms will help all students learn more by demanding high student proficiency and providing effective methods to help students achieve high standard. Right? So these are the things we are prepare the reform. We need curriculum revision, right? So now we are moving to curriculum reform 1972, right? So Sri Lanka initiated educational reform in 1972. The reforms brought changes in both the structure and the content of the education. So you can see, right, even every setup, I think the last two, not much change. Otherwise, they change the structure as well as the content of education. That means curriculum. So here in 1972, see the structure. Primary 5 years, junior secondary 4 years, senior secondary 1 year, and 1 year university education, pre-university education, right? This is the structure introduced in 1972 curriculum, right? 5 years for primary education, 4 years for junior secondary education, 2 years for senior secondary education, and 1 year for pre-university education. right? So this is just like foreign countries, right? All of a sudden they introduced this to the Sri Lankan education system in 1972. Right? So at the end of 9 years of schooling, students sat for National Certificate of General Education Examination, NCGE. So in England, GCSE, here NCGE. Based on their success in examination, students continued 2 years of senior secondary education. That means 10 and 11, right? Higher National Certificate of Education Examination, HNC. Right? All of a sudden, this is a huge change in education system in 1972. Right? So this followed by a year of schooling for selected students for national universities. Another 1 year you have to study and you have to do the entrance exam for the university. Right? The content of primary education was, right? So in England, there are only core subjects, 3 subjects. Here you can see religion, first language, second language, mathematics, physical, and aesthetics activities. So here, first language and second language. There's no English language introduced in 1972, right? The teaching methodology in primary was student-centered, right? Student-centered, not teacher-centered, right? So student have to learn, the teacher have to help. And junior secondary curriculum included 10 subjects, right? So primary have how many subjects? First language, second language, mathematics, physical and aesthetics activities, 4, right? But the junior secondary up to grade 9, right? They have 10 subjects. Religion, language, second language, new integrated mathematics, science, aesthetic, health and physical education, pre-vocational education, 1. They had a big issue with these 2 subjects, pre-vocational education 1, pre-vocational education 2. So is there anybody did this examination here in your group? 1972? No. Okay. So the inclusion of science and mathematics for all students without streaming was important. So integrated science and maths, right? So totally they change the structure and the content and everything, subject number, amount of subjects, right? So the education reform was continued only for not more than about 5 years because highly developed scholastic curriculum that could not be implemented, afforded to by the country, right? The academic side is more scholastic curriculum, right? So implemented, so they can't actually the students and the teachers, parents, so they can't go with that, right? They face a lot of difficulties. And teachers were not efficient in carrying out the subjects, lack of physical and human resources, unpopular examination system, create social class issues that affected in selecting vocational subject. So the same thing faced by the children while they are switching the medium of instruction in English. So Sinhala books is available, Tamil books are available, not in the English medium children got very late because they have to translate, and even to teach the English medium English language teacher only handle all the subjects, right? So later they picked up, right? So create lack of physical and human resources, unpopular examination system, create social class issues that affected in selecting vocational subject. Right, so the vocational, pre-vocational subject 1 and 2, right? So they have to select, right, according to their this region, right? So if they are living in a agricultural site, they have to select the agriculture. If they are in the fisheries area, they have to select a fishery things. And if it is Ambalangoda and that side, so they have to select the pre-vocational subject, maybe according to that area, right? So the parents, they are against this pre-vocational subject. They don't want their children to learn their job, right? But this method is very good, right? But because of the difficulties they faced, right? Even farmers, they don't have much facilities, no, right? Even you can see, have you seen any young people working in the farm, especially in I think east and the northern east, the youngsters are working, right? But in the upcountry and all, most of the old people are working in the field. Even the agricultural graduates, right? They don't like to work in the field, like paddy field. They wanted to do something in an office. So our country is agricultural country, but agriculture is not much developed, right? So I think in Kurunagal, there are multinational companies, right? But anyway, in agriculture farms, right? So Ambevela farm. So that farm is Valisara. So there are few farms. That is also not much developed, right? So if we are comparing to the other countries like New Zealand, Australia, they are actually those countries are developed, well developed. So once they brought cattle from that type of country, it seems, but so the corruptions only made everything collapsed, I think, right? Okay, then we are going to move. So after 1972, 9 years they took for the next revision, right? Curriculum reform, 1981. The report of Education Reforms Committee, which functioned under the chairmanship of Mr. Bogada Premaratne, was released in 1981. So they had lot of issues now about that subjects matter. So they appointed committees, right, to give the report. So the chairman is Mr. Bogada Premaratne, and two other committees, the Committee on Technical Education under Dr. Jnana Lingam and Committee on National Apprenticeship Trainer under MHD Sugata Pala submitted their report at the same time period. So according to these 1981 curriculum reforms, the duration of general education consists of 5 years of primary, 3 years of junior secondary, 3 years of senior secondary, and 2 years of collegiate level. So you can see the structure change. In 1972, 5, 4, 2, 1. Here, 5, 3, 3, 2. Right? No pre-university education. Right? And curriculum changes related to 1981 curriculum reform, primary curriculum, senior secondary, and collegiate level. Names also changed. So you can see the primary curriculum. The reform said that it is intended to prepare the child for a transition from home to school and to express his or her personality through natural gifts such as imitation, acting, singing, dancing, drawing, and observation of nature. So it will also help the child to acquire meaningful skills in reading, writing, and arithmetic. So even there are disparities, right, among this early childhood education, right? Early childhood education is mostly private, right? But here the primary curriculum, right? They're thinking to give a enjoy full learning, right? It will also help the child to acquire meaningful skills, right? And it will also link to the aspects of curriculum and environmental activities. So senior secondary stage, there are 9, earlier 10, right? Now 9 in first language, religion, mathematics, English, science, social studies, aesthetic studies, life skill, health and physical education. So here the life skill is technical subject. So they are going to learn some skills, right? So so here the earlier the pre-vocational subject means it's depend on their own area. No? Here life skill, whatever the child, according to the child's interest, they can learn. So life skills replace the technical subject in assessment. The concept of continuous assessment was introduced. So continuous assessment introduced in 1981 reform. So why continuous assessment? Is anyone explain? Especially in the developed countries, right? They are giving marks, 60 marks for continuous assessment. Only 40 for final examination, right? And we have a this A-level examination. UK also have this that A-level type exam. But in Canada, right, they don't have this A-level examination, right? Directly they can enter the university, right, with the school marks. But the university education, of course, very tough in Canada. So most of the students, but there are a lot of these selective areas, right? If the students feel that it's very difficult, they can change. In assessment, the concept of continuous assessment was introduced, and a report is to be given at the end, grade 8, incorporating the results of the summative test and continuous assessment. So they are introducing the continuous assessment in 1981, right? So the worldwide, the trend is continuous assessment, because our aim is not to fail the student, right? We have to check the intelligence of the student according to that potential of that child, right? So always we are testing with written examination in Sri Lanka, right? Exam-oriented education system is system we have, right? And the collegiate level. This is a stage of specialization that leads to university and tertiary level. According to the 1981 curriculum reforms, the curriculum consists of basic and specific subject. So the work experience through Sri Lanka cultural heritage and social economic environment, first language, English, community-oriented subject. Right, so in 1981 also they tried to introduce something new, right? Special subjects organized into 2 streams, science and arts. Students can choose 3 subjects in 1 or 2 streams. So the mixture of subjects can be offered in 1981. So after 10 years gap, again another reform, 1992. So now National Education Commission is there. So they in 1991 was established to recommend new policy in education. So here their vision and mission of NEC, a comprehensive national policy framework for sound education for all, ensuring fairness and adaptability to face all challenges and for maintaining Sri Lankan identity. Right, so every organization is display their mission and vision. Is anybody checked whether they achieve the mission and vision? Is there any monitoring? Right, so that is what our the education system is. So having a question mark, right? But anyway, our Sri Lankan students, right? Wherever they go, they can cope up because they know how to memorize, right? That means the lacking skill, but very knowledgeable. So these are the national goals, right? As teachers, definitely you all must know what are the national goals are. The first one is national cohesion, national integrity, and national unity. Without this, a country can't progress, right? No progress for any country. The establishment of a pervasive pattern of social justice, the evolution of sustainable pattern of living, seeking a livelihood and working opportunities that are at the same time, productive and given avenues of self-fulfillment. These national goals, of course, I think they have this published in textbooks, right? Participation of human resource development that will support socio-economic growth of the country. And involvement of national building in education, learning to care, cultivation of an element of adaptability to change, learn to learn and adapt, developing competencies to guide change, right? If anyone interested, please find out what are the international educational goals are. This is national goals, no, this is for Sri Lanka. So if you can find international goals, right, we can compare national and international educational goal. What is the difference? Which one is very clear? Which one is simple? Which one is achievable, right? So, and NEC also identified 5 competencies that would contribute to the achievement of national goals, right? So this is also from NEC, right? competencies in communication, relating to the environment, relating to religion and ethics, play and use of leisure, and learning to learn. These are the 5 competencies formulated by NEC. This would contribute to the achievement of national goal. Right, and curriculum reform 1997. So after 1992, 5 years gap. In 5 years gap, next curriculum. So this time, Her Excellency Chandrika Kumaratunga appointed a presidential task force on general education reforms. So headed by Minister of Education and Higher Education, Honored Richard Pattirane in December 1996. So they have studied, collecting information, and then only they did this reform, right? The proposal was submitted to the President, and she declared 1997 as the year of education reform. So there are 13 technical committees formed, right? So they submit the report in 1997. So the document recommended the specific action to be taken at the various level of education system. So identify the agencies which should be assigned responsibility, time frame for implementation, and the reforms address all the forms of education. So they have submitted the report. These are the reforms in 1997. Right, so one good thing, they have done a research, right? They have gathered so many information. 13 committees worked on it, and they prepared these reforms, right? So you can see the change, right? In the previous reforms, they didn't mention anything about early childhood development. Here they have mentioned, right? Not only early childhood development, preschool also. Then compulsory education. Primary stage of education, they introduced 4 pillars of education. UNESCO's motto, right? UNESCO only introduced these 4 pillars in education: learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, learning to be. Can you understand these 4? Learning to know, what is it? That is what you all are learning. You are so the, known to unknown, right? You're learning from the grade 1 new things, right? Learning to know. The curriculum is that. Learning to do what you have to do, right? You're learning. And learning to live together. That is very important because you are going to be in the society. You can't be alone. So learn to live together. And learning to be what you are going to do. You have to decide, right? So after primary education, should achieve competencies in communication, competencies in relating to the natural, social, artificial environment, competencies in ethics and religion, competencies in play and the use of leisure, competencies in learning how to learn. So they have decided to have lot of things: junior stage of education, GC ordinary level, advanced level, English, in strengthening English teaching programs, development of technical and practical skills, co-curricular activities, and special education also included. Value education and national integration, counseling and career guidance, rationalization of schools, reorganization of schools, school-based management, teacher education, teacher performance appraisal. lot of new things introduced in 1997, right? So after that, 10 years lapse, right? The last curriculum, 2007. So golden year of education reforms, 2007. As a result of 21st century challenges, NIE had introduced, NIE means National Institute of Education, Maharagama, had to introduce new curriculum reforms in objective of curriculum reforms of 2007. So encouraging activity-based learning, right? Activity-based learning, this introduced. Facilitating students in constructive knowledge. Fostering the development of higher order academic abilities and skills. Providing for non-cognitive aspects of student development. And the new curriculum reforms mainly focused on secondary school curriculum. They never made any changes in primary curriculum, right? So see the structure. Again, they have changed 5-4-2-2. Right? The educational structure is written as was proposed 5-4-2-2 in 1988. The curriculum reforms of 2007 had brought some changes in the school curriculum in terms of teaching competencies, the changing role of teacher. There are 3 T's roles for teachers, right? The last T is transformation. Transmission is second. Third one is transformation. We are in transformation era, right? So transformation in that role, teacher have to work as a facilitator, right? So changing roles of teacher. 5E is new instructional approach. So how many of you are doing 5E now? 5E means engagement, exploration, explanation, elaboration, and evaluation. 5E. How you are engage the students, how you are making them to explore, finding things and collecting informations. And they are going to present, explain. The teacher will elaborate, add some more, and evaluate the students, right? So this is what 5E method. New subjects and subject classification. Through the curriculum reforms of 1998, contained the competencies, there were not proper methods were adopted to teach competencies. New curriculum reform of 2007 have introduced methods to develop these competencies into the classroom activities. And based on the competencies which were introduced by NEC, each subject was prepared with overall competencies for the subject for the whole secondary school education and based on the competency level. Competency level, objective, outcome, right? Those things are little bit similar, right? That means what is our expectation of doing a lesson? What we are expecting from the students? What are the behavioral change we have to make, right? So, it cannot be made at once, right? There will be stages. So that stages will be competencies, right? Competency level organized horizontally through the subject. Teachers are expected to carry the subject-based competencies through his or her classroom activities. Right. Shall I take another 3 minutes to complete this? Otherwise, we can start before 1972 next time. Teachers are required to develop their own activity plans Teacher should be a resource person. And reform suggests teachers should change their role from instructional to transformational, right? So transformation means to be a facilitator in the classroom learning and teaching activities. So instructional means just lecture, right? So in 2007, the role was changed. So these are the subject, right? 10 subjects, 6 to 9. And apart from this, 6 to 9, there is a basket. There are basket subjects: art, dancing, drama, and theater and music, right? So, any questions? Okay, I took 4 minutes more, right? Right. Thank you very much for your participation. Um, sometimes, okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
right. I will. So now I have the group, no, right? From the beginning, one by one, I will upload, right? Right. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Good
ma'am.
night,
madam.
Good
madam.
Good
night.
night.
Right. So if you have any questions, if you have clarification, right? If you need any more explanation, please let me know. Okay. So you can discuss, right? So we are adults. Sometimes you all might know better than me. You can share with me, right? So uh, so dialogue, discussion, questioning mode is more appropriate for adults education. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Kanchana? Kanchana?